On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, it's our final episode of 2021. So we take a look back at the year that was and ahead to what's coming in 2022. Welcome to episode 161 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Before we get started, we just wanted to say congratulations to all the winners of the recent Baseball Alberta Annual Awards, which were recently held virtually. Lots of very deserving candidates and winners across the province, so thank you for all you do in the baseball community. We're planning a story or two and a podcast or two in the new year to highlight and celebrate those achievements, so stay tuned for all of that. On that note, we've arrived at the season finale of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. It's a chance for us to reminisce about the last 12 months and grab a crystal ball to see what the next 12 might have in store. For that and much more, ADS co-founder and writer extraordinaire Ian Wilson joins us. Ian, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Joe. How are you doing?
It's feeling like a little bit of a bittersweet day. I mean, it's the final episode of the 2021 season. It's sort of that changing of the guard. At the same time, really excited about 2022. So we'll be able to get to all that over the next little while here. And let's start off looking back on the year that's been, Ian. When you look back on it, how are you going to remember 2021?
Very good question. There's been another kind of weird year, right? Last year was just all COVID all the time, and just kind of this bizarre set of circumstances through the baseball lens, anyways, in terms of what games were being played, what weren't, shortened MLB season, things like that. And I really felt like this year, in particular, was almost like a spring training of sorts type of year. Just kind of everything kind of waking up and shaking off or trying to shake off the fog of COVID and get back to some kind of normal, not having cardboard cutouts in the stands for the MLB, at the MLB level, things like that. And just, a lot of the university programs kind of resuming play and a lot of the academy play, getting back to it, Baseball Alberta getting back into the swing of things. And just striving for that normalcy and just kind of winding up and everyone doing the seventh inning stretch and getting back into it. And in particular, seeing Western Canadian Baseball League forge ahead through difficult circumstances and get that season under their belt. So it was a different year for sure. I think at one point we were talking about a year unlike any other, and that's certainly held true. But I think what we'd really like to see is everything kind of unshackled and fully back to normal. And I mean, that's a bit of a broken record there, but I think everyone's ready for that and hoping for just fully enjoying all that the baseball world has to offer. And I'm sure there's no labor issues that'll arise in the new year at the MLB level.
No, none whatsoever. It is amazing when you think back on it. I mean, 2020, we all kind of went, oh, that was unprecedented. We'll never see another year like it. And then 2021 came and said, hold my beer. It's just amazing how that all transpired. And so I know we're going to talk about 2022 a little bit later on, but it kind of feels like that might happen again, depending on how everything all plays out. Looking back on 2021, though, any highlights for you? Any situations, whether it be pro or amateur, that made you go, that was a moment worthy of celebration?
Yeah, I mean, there were a few things. For one, not to, I'm going to inside baseball our listeners a bit and give ourselves a pat on the back for being as productive as you and I were on populating our website and getting the podcast going. No, I went through a lot of our archives over the last year, and I was like, we got a lot of work done. We got a lot of stories done, both in the coverage of the Western Canadian Baseball League, including Baseball Day in Canada, doing more historical pieces than I actually recall. And it's just interesting to look back on it because I remember around this time last year thinking, well, what are we going to do? Like, is this going to be, I love our In the Cards series, but I really thought there's going to be a lot of digging through the vaults and flipping through the cards and doing a lot of In the Cards stories for the next few months. And we did a lot of that, and that's good. I love doing those, and those are great feature stories to work on and fun to do. But I think we really did get into some really good stories. There were some good, some stories with some Hall of Fame kind of strokes to them. One, starting at the start of the year, John Donaldson, who we recently found out did not get into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, which still kind of blows my mind a bit. He had over 400 recorded wins, and I can't remember his strikeout total, but it's ridiculous, and 14 no-hitters, I think. It just kind of really paved the way for Satchel Paige, and just, I think, really belongs. So in that last round where Buck O'Neill, that's awesome that he got in to the Hall of Fame. Gil Hodges, some of those other names that made it. It's good to see, but really hopeful that John Donaldson gets in. And of course, that was one of the stories early in the year that we focused on. North of the border, one of the Hall of Fame stories we did was Jimmy Rattlesnake, and that for the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, and he was inducted. And even doing the research for that story, there's a lot of things I couldn't confirm, and that would really bothered me that I couldn't stand up a lot of the aspects of that. But I give kudos to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame for, kind of going with the newspaper accounts of the day. And this was clearly a person who had a reputation that was well earned, and really putting a lot of stock in that rather than leaning on stats that would have been kind of hard to find. So there's the two sides of that Hall of Fame coin that were interesting and fun stories to work on. At the major league level, it kind of felt like the year of Hank Aaron in a lot of ways. We another story that we did early in the year was big leaguing in Barhead, which of course Hank Aaron, shortly after retiring, came up to Barhead in the 70s for a sportsman's dinner, which still blows my mind that he came up here and came to small town Alberta, and that really spawned all these kind of high-end sportsman's dinners for a while in small town Alberta. And then, of course, with his passing this year, the Braves, it just seemed like he was that kind of guardian angel watching over the Braves as they went on to win the World Series. And you get to see the two Mikes there, Mike Soroka and Mike Frostad, winning World Series rings. So really, really interesting and great to see. I mean, I was definitely cheering for the Braves when they made it to the end there.
Absolutely. When I look back on it, I think of a couple of different things. One being the World Series, another being Baseball Day in Canada. I mean, it feels like forever ago already, but that middle August summer, as beautiful as it was, albeit a little bit smoky still from all the fires, it was just one of those things where we were able to celebrate the game here in Alberta and be able to celebrate what the Western Canadian Baseball League was doing. And it was kind of just sort of that moment of, it's not quite normal, but it's pretty much there. And given all the news that's transpiring and everything, I mean, as people are listening to this very episode, the situation in the NHL is evolving, the situation in the NFL is evolving, the situation in Alberta is evolving, and so who knows what's going to be happening over the days and weeks ahead. But it was nice to have that sort of almost summer, early summer anyways, before the fourth wave really hit, where things felt semi-normal again, and so that was really cool. The other thing that I want to go back to, and it was also in the summer, the Major League Baseball draft. Amazing to think back on being able to touch base and keep tabs on Tristan Peters, to be able to touch base with Garrett Hawkins, Damiano Palmaggiani again, and Evan Elliott. So the four Alberta products or players that have come through the Alberta system getting taken in that MLB draft. Seeing that there's the possibility not only of getting drafted, but also to be able to come through here and do very well, as was the case with Andrew Kittredge, the former Okotoks Dogs player who was an MLB All-Star and was basically untouchable for the Tampa Bay Rays this year. And another one that really made his way up the system and became one of the first, or actually the first Dogs Academy non-pitcher to make it to the major leagues, Alejo Lopez, doing so well with Cincinnati Reds. We haven't been able to do a full story on him yet, but that's part of the game plan in 2022. I mean, there's just been so many highlights, I feel like, coming out of 2021, albeit such a weird year. There was some forward momentum, it feels like. And so it really begs, I think, an interesting question in that regard for you, Ian, is if there was a central theme to the year, or if there was something that really kind of stuck out to you as far as what kind of defined the year as a whole for you, what would it be?
Good question. I think, perseverance and endurance seem to be themes that, whether you are a fan of baseball or like just turning on your TV at home, trying to get through your life this year with the pandemic and some of the economic strife that has resulted, or whether you're a baseball player, coach, administrator. I think that was a big part of the year, and carrying over some of the adaptation that had to occur and evolution that had to occur during that time, where it's like, okay, we can't all gather and do practice in a normal way, and how are you going to step up during that time? How are you going to get through? And I'm sure there were some players in particular that and coaches for that matter that struggled with that fell back a bit. But with that also came others that really took to heart, hey, this is an opportunity. This is I know there's other players that they're going to be struggling with this. How can I better position myself as a player, as a coach, as a baseball person? And I think we really did see that. And some of the stories you just mentioned were, some of the highlights, right? Andrew Kittredge, man, like, that what I liked about his story in particular was he, yes, he was an all-star, but whether he got that all-star nod or not, he really cemented himself as a highly effective bullpen guy, a highly effective reliever, which he's a guy that around the league you would know his name, right? Like if you are in fantasy baseball and you're looking to pick up a holds guy, or you're looking for someone who's got great numbers, you'd see his name there. So it kind of transcended just, hey, we're talking about this guy because he's a former Dog. Yes, that's a connection here, but man, like this guy is just having a hell of a season. He's just doing really good work, So that was just great to see, and and Tampa Bay doesn't mess around with that stuff, right? If he's got a spot in their bullpen, he's earned it, and they like what they see in him. So that was really good to see. Lopez, who you mentioned being I think he was the minor league hitter of the year for in the Reds organization, which huge accomplishment. So kudos to him, and just seeing him pull that off. And seeing the kids drafted is always great. Some of them you see come through in the WCBL, and Tristan Peters was one of those guys who just, wow, like he really did knock your socks off, and it's just great to see him get drafted and kind of keep that dream going, and even continuing going through like with the Savannah Bananas and stuff like that. It's like just fun year for him. So really happy for him, and by all accounts, a really good kid with a good head on his shoulders. So good to see, and going back as well to the Baseball Day in Canada that you mentioned. I mean, just hats off to the Western Canadian Baseball League, who seem to not only pull off a season in very difficult circumstances when most other leagues were just like, we're out, there's too much, can't do it. And they made it happen. And they also seemed they did it without much in the way of, they remained above the fray. There wasn't a lot of, oh no, like this has been devastating for the league, and there's, didn't encounter stoppages or massive obstacles once they set on that course. And I know I took in, like, that was part of my own personal way of getting back to normal as well, was just going to the ballpark and getting to go up to Sylvan Lake and seeing that new ballpark and experience that, and the excitement that's not just from that opening night that I was at, but also knowing that it's only going to get better up there. It's only things are going to grow and develop around that ballpark. The things that may have not been all ready to go on opening night will just get better over the years. So that was really cool. And just feeling like, hey, I'm at a ball game. This is nice. You know, we're under the lights. Or the sun's coming down. Cold beer in my hand, and this is what I should be doing in the summer, right? So it was that little bit of normal, and it doesn't mean you throw all precautions to the wind or anything like that. And I know the league didn't do that. I know they examined all kinds of contingencies and ways of preparing for that season, and I just thought they did a great job of pulling that off, and I'm thankful for it. It was just nice to. I know on my own birthday, I was at Seaman Stadium and with my family, and it was that was a special day.
Absolutely. Speaking of special days, hopefully we have a lot of them coming up in 2022. When it comes to storylines, or when it comes to just the overall feel that you have heading into the year, now this is of course assuming that we have a normal-ish kind of year, what has you most excited?
A few different things. I mean, I'll be curious to see, sticking with the Western Canadian Baseball League, what their season looks like this year, right? Even though they were able to put a season together last year, I think most people would agree, like, that wasn't the ideal setup, having 5 teams and things like that, and missing out on the Saskatchewan teams as well. So bring those teams back into the fold, hopefully welcoming players across the border from the U.S. Back to the league. I think that does add something to the talent level and the competitiveness. So just seeing what that looks like. Hopefully the All-Star Game, which is a really fun event. The last one I went to was the one in Edmonton, that 2018, 2019, can't remember. I know.
Time is just a figment of everyone's imagination at this point, Ian. Come on now.
Yeah, but that was a fun event, and it's good to see the league celebrate its best, and also I'm a sucker for, like, home run derbies and that kind of thing. So, and Okotoks always puts on a great show. So hopefully we'll have that All-Star Game component return. And hopefully another baseball day in Canada as well. So all those things that excite me. I mean, that's, whether it's covering it for Alberta Dugout Stories or just being there and soaking it all in. I just hope that we can get back to going to the ballpark and enjoying that. And MLB, I don't even really, I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go. I haven't honestly been keeping up on it because why put yourself through the angst of it? But, hopefully we'll get back to the field, and hopefully Mike Soroka's a part of that MLB world when it does resume and pitching the way he's capable of. So those are kind of the hopes for the new year, and we'll see where it goes. How about you? Anything you're eyeballing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mike Soroka getting back to his phenom form that he was in that rookie year. I mean, just to see the bad luck that he's gone through, and knowing the kind of kid he is, and I use kid relatively, obviously, but knowing the kind of guy he is, the mentality that he's taken into all of these different situations that he's faced, it just makes you want to cheer for him more. And so it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be very much celebrated, watching him finally pitch again from a mound with Atlanta, and just to see, and especially given that he's going to be able to do it as reigning World Series champion. So it'll be really cool to see him do what he does best heading into the new year. I'm really actually looking forward to not just all that you mentioned with the WCBL, but we also have the addition of the Edmonton Riverhawks in the West Coast League. They were supposed to make their introduction this last year, but obviously the WCL said, no, we can't do it in the Canadian division for 2021. So we'll see what 2022 brings for that league, because I'm sure there's a lot of excitement around the Edmonton River Valley around that program. I'm also, from a smaller perspective, really excited to see things hopefully get back to normal-ish when it comes to the academies, when it comes to some of that grassroots thing. There's a really interesting announcement that came out of Calgary in the last week or two here, and it's the decision to amalgamate the Bucks program and the PBF Redbirds program, which is what Soroka came from. To see maybe some bigger term thinking coming around when it comes to some of these programs, and realizing that, hey, maybe we can't do it on our own, but maybe we can bring our resources together to better suit the students, the young athletes that we have. I think there's a real excitement at the grassroots level to try some things differently. And even when you watch the Baseball Alberta Awards from last Friday, some of the award winners were volunteers and stats officials and coaches and managers who really gave it their all to make it really special for these young kids, given how uncertain of a time it was. If you can get a full year for these kids and for these adults to put an actual game plan together instead of sort of winging it, I think is just going to make such an incredible year for everyone. And I'm really hoping that, especially as we're sitting outside and looking outside at the white stuff going, oh, what are we going to do? I hope a lot of these officials, once the new year hits, kind of takes that big step back and that big deep breath and go, okay, here's how we're going to make things that much better for the kids. Once the snow melts, once the grass starts to get green, once the temperature goes above, say, 10 degrees, that's sort of what really excites me more than anything, is just kind of that renewed excitement. It's almost like Christmas all over again, right? But I think that there's a real opportunity here in this province to really show off what we've accomplished to this point, but also show off that there's a lot to be excited about for the future. So I think that's where I'm standing when it comes to the overall vision. I'm curious, Ian, from your standpoint, from an ADS perspective, because I know you talked about the stories that we did over the course of the last year. Are there any stories or any themes or anything? Is there anything that really has you buzzing heading into 2022 from what we do perspective?
Yeah, a good question. I wonder how much I should tip my cap on on that stuff. But I mean, there's always player profiles. One of the things when I look back was seeing some of the historical profiles that we did. We did one on David Wells, Boomer Wells, and his raucous time in Medicine Hat. This year we did Sid Fernandez in Lethbridge, who was just phenomenal, and drawing comparisons to Fernando Valenzuela and even Sandy Koufax as a young prospect. And I just love kind of digging through the vaults and doing some of those stories. So I'll always kind of have an eye on some of those. We haven't done a big piece on Danny Tartable or Tino Martinez, who are two of the bigger cannons in the baseball history that deserve a look and often pop into my head, and those are two guys that kind of come to mind immediately. And there's always guys that just kind of crop up that I'm like, yeah, I've been meaning to do a story on that person. I really want to see what we can do there. So that's always kind of bouncing around in my vacuous skull, and just trying to, whether that's in the year ahead or maybe after that, we'll see how that goes. I did start some work on that big brawl between the Calgary Vipers and Edmonton Cracker Cats, and I know that came up as a topic of conversation when you had Greg Morrison on the podcast not too long ago, and I've talked to Drew Miller on a few occasions about that. So that's one I do want to come back to that, and I'm hoping to really flush that out. I think there was something really special about that particular event, and probably the closest thing we had to a Battle of Alberta baseball moment that kind of you could put in the same vein as Flames and Oilers with their hockey history. So that's one that comes to mind as well. That I was hoping to have done this last year actually, but life gets in the way. So
It sure does.
That's a story that I'd like to look at. And some of it's just getting back to, like I said, the WCBL coverage, keeping an eye on some of the athletes who are south of the border, and seeing the seasons that they have. That's always fun to track. One of the highlights of this year as well that I neglected to mention earlier was that Field of Dreams game, and just seeing Willie Steele, who is W.B. Kinsella's biographer. He was kind enough to do a firsthand account of attending that game, and I don't know if you watched that one on TV or not, but I did watch most of that on TV, and it just really did hit all the feels and gave you all those goosebumps of how good baseball can be and how special a game can be. So I don't know if you'll get a Field of Dreams. I don't know if you'll get a Field of Dreams game this next year, or if you can rival how special that was. But I'm definitely curious to see what they can do for an encore there.
Absolutely. And I mean, realistically, how do you beat the home run at the end of that one? Come on now. I don't know if you could. Yeah. You don't want to try to repeat history. I mean, it feels like it'll just be a secondary. It'll be just like those really bad prequels or sequels to movies that never really deserved. Dumb and Dumberer. Come on now.
Yeah. No one talks about Die Hard 2, right? It's all about Die Hard. So.
Exactly. Which is also a Christmas movie, by the way.
100%. You know what? I'm bending the rules on that so much lately. I was like looking at Goodfellas, and I was like, "Is there a Christmas scene in Goodfellas?" And I was like, "Yeah, there is." Yeah, when everyone's getting in trouble for buying all that stuff at Christmas time with the bank job money. Spoiler alert from an old movie, but I'm like, I'm calling Goodfellas a Christmas movie too. Let's just do it. Let's lump it all in there.
Well played, good sir. Well played.
Yeah,
I got to say, from my perspective with ADS, I think the thing that really excites me is just about the continued support that we've received, and even during this last year, getting not only the Okotoks Dogs and Dogs Academy back as being what we've now coined as supporters. I'm not a big fan of the word sponsor. It feels too hoity-toity. They are supporters. They are teammates. Having Taylor Burns and AHP come along for the ride and join us there, having Vauxhall Academy of Baseball join us, and having this new tiered system has opened up a few more doors for us. And so having that and being able to build off of that really kind of excites me. And not just from obviously money helps, but also just from a community coming together perspective. And this baseball community in this province is absolutely outstanding. And it's proven by the number of people who read our stories and listen to our podcasts and check us out on social media all the time. And I think that's what excites me most, is just being able to see that growth continue that we've had since we launched this thing back in 2016, 2017. So kudos to everybody who listens and reads and checks us out, because that kind of support just means the absolute world to us. I think from a gameplay perspective, from a story perspective, if there's one thing that I'll tip my cap to, it's got to be the 1982 Medicine Hat Blue Jays, their lone Pioneer League Championship. The 40th anniversary is coming up this year, and I am going to be taking the lead on that story. Really looking forward to diving a little deeper into that one, reading some of the archive stories to see if there's anything kind of nuanced to that specific run, and then hopefully tracking down a few of the players as well to have on the podcast. So that's the big one that I've got coming down the pipe, I think, probably midsummer-ish. And then, of course, we've got all the other stories and check-ins that we plan on doing as well. It's just going to be, I just have this weird feeling that it's going to be a fantastic year, regardless of what happens when it comes to COVID and the crazy world that we seem to be living in over the last 21 months or so. So that's where I'm there. Ian, any final parting remarks before we bid adieu to 2021?
Not too much. I mean, we've survived the last 2 years. Let's thrive in the next one. Like I said, I think perseverance and adaptation have been a big part of everyone's lives, and hopefully, hopefully we can continue to do that and not just feel like, and we didn't really even touch on a lot of the mental health aspects of that, but that does make things difficult for people for sure. So I do hope we can get to a spot where people are not just surviving, not just persevering, but starting to see some of the fruits of that, and starting to see, just feel alive again, feel happy again, feel that, all the things that baseball, for example, can bring you. Feel that sun on your face and feel the joy of playing catch with someone. All those kind of warm feels, but also just healthy things, the things that are good for your soul. I hope we can have that come back to us soon.
Absolutely. Well, Ian, congratulations and kudos on all that you've done over 2021 for us here at Alberta Dugout Stories. All the best to you and your family, and looking forward to connecting sooner rather than later.
All the best to you and yours, and keep up the great work, Mr. Podfather, as I call you. And hope you have a great holiday season, and I look forward to reconnecting in the new year as well.
Well, that's it. That's all. See you later, 2021. It's been a time, to say the least. Before we let you go, if you have a story you'd like to share with us, maybe about the aforementioned brawl between the Vipers and Cracker Cats, or maybe about that 82 Medicine Hat Blue Jays team, or any other story, drop us a line at albertadugoutstories@gmail.com. We actually had a note from a family member of Edmontonian and former MLBer Dave Shippenoff recently, wondering if anyone had any game footage they could share. Drop us a line if you might have a tip to pass our way on that front as well. Again, thank you for downloading, listening, reading, sharing on social media, all of your support across the board. It means the absolute world to us, and we can't wait to do it all again in 2022. Until next time, from our dugouts to yours, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and the best of the season to you and yours from us here at Alberta Dugout Stories.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!